Wander Wealthy Podcast, episode 176. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome to, if you're new, to the Wander Wealthy Podcast. My name is Tess. I am your host, founder of Wander Wealthy, and business coach, mentor, if you will, to those of you out there that are in the money coaching world. Or maybe you're thinking about getting into the money coaching world. If you're a new, aspiring, or current money coach, you are in the right place. This podcast will help you market your coaching program and your coaching business to the right, perfect, ideal clients. It will also help you learn how to sell your program and ultimately be the best coach and build a really effective business so you can have a booked out money coaching business. And maybe even help you with some of those mindset blocks that might be keeping you stuck along the way. So you're in the right place, absolutely. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about one thing that plays a role in almost every aspect of your business, which is defining your niche. And we have talked about this before on a previous episode, and I'm going to reference that a little bit later. But today's topic is all about the 5 sneaky benefits of getting mega specific with your niche market. Before I dive into the 5 sneaky benefits, I just want to remind you who is sponsoring this episode of the Wander Wealthy Podcast, and that is my program, the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. So again, if you are a new, aspiring, or current money coach who's just frustrated with the progress that you've made in the last handful of months or years, then the Wealthy Coach Blueprint is a perfect solution to the business building blues that you might be feeling, or the business building overwhelm, or whatever it is that is going on inside of your noggin and behind the scenes of your business. The Wealthy Coach Blueprint is a 12-week mentorship program where we work together to build your thriving coaching business by creating a life-changing coaching program, identifying your perfect fit ideal client, and then crafting your program and all of your marketing and your messaging so that it is like music in the ears of your ideal clients. I also help you learn about really great selling fundamentals and how to ultimately deliver and be a really amazing coach for your clients and create and deliver a truly life-changing experience. So currently, the program, I have students going through it. It is not open for enrollment, but it will open up in just a couple short weeks. Starting in August, we are opening enrollment for the next round of the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, and you can get on the waitlist now to get first dibs of getting in the round by going to wanderwealthy.com/apply. This is super important because I have to cap the number of people who can join the program at any given time. There is only one of me, and I want to help as many of you as possible, but I also want to make sure it is truly a good fit. So if you go to wanderwealthy.com/apply and pop your name and your email on the wait list, I will follow up with you, inviting you to a special one-on-one call with me where we can discuss your goals, any struggles that are getting in your way, and talk about the program and see if it is the perfect next step for you to take in building your booked out coaching business. So wanderwealthy.com/apply, and I am so excited for the next round. All right, getting back to today's topic, we are talking about the 5 sneaky benefits of getting mega specific with your niche or your niche market. So I want to take a second to define what a niche market is for those of you who may be a little bit confused. And by the way, I think I've said this many a times on my show before, but I don't know if you say niche or something else, but I'm going to go with niche because I think it sounds fancy. So a niche market, ultimately, if we distill it down, it is the grouping of people, the type of person, if you want to pick one target ideal client to create a profile around, but it is ultimately, and it boils down ultimately to who you specifically help and what specific problem you help them solve. So niching is quite interesting because you can develop a niche specifically around a who, meaning you pick very specific characteristics and identifying qualities of a person to call out to say, hey, I can help you with XYZ. So something along the lines of, I help 20 to 30-year-old women living in the big city, aspiring to make it big on Broadway, manage their finances with ease. So you can see that that is a very specific who. It not only determines the gender of the person, it also determines their age range as well as their career aspirations and what maybe their personal situation might be looking like right now. And then it leads to what you help them with. Now, this is pretty specific in the who, but a little bit more general in the what. Alternatively, you can choose to be super specific around the actual problem that you solve and be a little bit more general with the who. And this is perfect for people who are really good subject matter experts. So maybe you have a lot of experience in, let's say, maybe you used to be a divorce attorney. And so you know a lot about the ins and outs of dealing with divorce, and you understand there are tons of financial ramifications there. And so you could actually be a money coach who specifically coaches couples or coaches one part of the couple. I'm not really sure how that would boil down. You'd have to figure that out. If you were a divorce attorney, you would probably know. But you specifically provide coaching for those who are going through divorce. That's a very specific problem that people are going to have regarding their finances. There's going to be many problems within that bucket, but it's very specific around the problem is that essentially you could be a little bit more general with the actual who you help. So that's another way to consider defining a niche market for yourself. And thirdly, you could choose to be super specific around the who and super specific around the problem. So maybe you help women between the ages of 20 and 30 living in the big city who are aspiring to make it big on Broadway handle their divorce. That is obviously going to narrow your pool, but it's so specific that you might be one of the only people offering that to that specific demographic, that you might get all of those clients because you've choose to niche down. And that is going to play a role in one of the sneaky benefits that comes from niching as we go through the list of 5. But I just wanted to lay the land of what a niche market really is. And in a lot of ways, a lot of people choose to niche more specifically around the who and then go a little bit general in terms of the what, but you can definitely get specific around both or choose to go just specific on the what, on the problem, and then be a little bit more general with the who. And they're going to have advantages and disadvantages as you go through these benefits as well. So let's talk about the 5 sneaky benefits of getting mega specific with your niche. And mega specific might even look like being so specific with your who and the problem. So benefit number 1 is that you will be at an extreme advantage of putting yourself in the right place at the right time. And ultimately, you just know, because you will know so specifically who you're working with, just by having some conversations with these people without them even being your clients, you could identify where the majority of them are hanging out. Now, this could be online, so maybe you just know that a majority of your ideal client hangs out in these top 3 Facebook groups. And so that's where you go and that's where you hang out. Or maybe it's that the majority of your ideal clients hang out on Instagram and they follow these top 3 influencers or other money experts. It doesn't really matter, but you're going to know where they are so then you can go and be there. You can be in the same room of your customers, of the people who are going to pay you, and you'll be there at the right time. Now, if you're a little bit more localized, you could also do this in terms of literally and tangibly and physically where your ideal clients actually hang out. If your ideal client is most likely going to be at a Core Power Yoga, you could go to Core Power Yoga. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit more upfront investment because you're probably going to have to pay for a membership. But hey, if you know that the people that are going to ultimately pay your bills are hanging out there, then you know where to place yourself. You can also do this with, conventions or networking events or other types of events too. So it can be actual day in the life locations or kind of one-off events that might be occurring throughout the year. But that's a really great way by knowing so specifically who you want to work with, now you know exactly where to hang out. You don't spend or waste a lot of time trying to be in all places at once. If you have a more broad niche, like I just help millennial women, which is still a somewhat of a specific niche, but it's not mega specific by any means, then where do millennial women hang out? Well, it really depends on what they do for a living, what their interests are, and, just how they like to live their life. And that's such a broad demographic that it almost harms you more than it helps you, because it doesn't give you insight into where you should specifically be spending your time. Should we make this a drinking game? Because I'm saying specific a lot. I apologize in advance. So that is the very first sneaky benefit, is now you've just taken out all the other places where you think you should be hanging out because, you just don't know where to go. Now we've distilled it down to one specific place that you can show up and you can create amazing content, or you can have really great conversations with these people, and they're going to be like, how did you know that I needed what you have? And that's the magic of getting mega specific with your niche. Number two, the secondo sneaky benefit of getting mega specific with your niche is you will be able to create mind reading content. And you'll be able to do this because most likely, now that you know where they're hanging out, and you've probably talked to some of these people who fall into your, what I like to call your ideal client profile, you're going to be having conversations with them, and they're going to be sharing with you their goals and what they're frustrated with and what their obstacles are. And you can actually use their actual words, the way that they describe their problems, in your content creation. And this puts you steps above and ahead of anyone that you could potentially be competing with, because you're using their language. On a neurological level, we are so much more likely to resonate with someone else if they use the same language that we use, if they explain things in the same way. And it also helps us just learn a little bit better and pay attention. And so by you using your ideal client's language, you're going to be able to infuse your content with that's going to make them very awake and alert to what you're saying. And you're most likely going to be talking about the same fears, pains, and goals that they shared with you when you had conversations, or that you are observing, because remember, you're hanging out where they hang out, and they're more likely to be talking about what they're struggling with, or just even various aspects of their life in those places, and you get to observe and then take that and intertwine it into your content. That is how you create mind reading content, and it really only comes from getting mega specific with your niche. Sneaky benefit number 3 is that you will be able to validate in record time that you're creating something, aka creating your coaching program. You're creating something your ideal client actually wants. Oh my gosh. So many of us, I've fallen in the trap too, so no shame here. We've created something because we think it's what people want, or we think like this is what I'm sure I need it at that point in time, or what they need. Or we just create it because someone else told us like this is what's going to make you $1 million online business owner without ever working a day in your life. So we fall into that trap. We create the product, we put it out there, and we hear crickets. And usually it's because we actually didn't go to the source and say, hey, what are you struggling with? What would you really like? Oh, by the way, how much would you be willing to pay for that? And so when you don't decide to get mega specific with your niche and actually talk to them and ask them questions and observe them and just understand them better, you end up creating stuff that nobody wants and nobody buys. And also, if you're not very specific, you create general and generic solutions to lots of different problems instead of creating a specific solution to a very specific problem for these specific people. How much more would you be willing to pay for someone who has a solution to your very specific problem instead of paying someone who has a generic answer and you don't even really know if they're capable or equipped to help you? I can say, in my situation, I am a person who, and this is not money coaching technically, it's a little bit, but I'm a person who lives abroad. I am a US citizen who lives in a different country and is married to someone who is not a US citizen who also lives in a different country. So we both don't live in our home country. We're married and we're not citizens from the same country. Okay? Is that clear? So I have an issue. Being a US citizen, you always have to file taxes if you want to maintain your citizenship. Doesn't mean you won't necessarily have to pay taxes, but that's a thing that I don't even know the answer to. But you have to file taxes, and there's a lot of tax questions that I, as a business owner living in a different country, have. And I can tell you that I have been searching for someone to help me with basically both ends of my problem. Someone who is technically can deal with my tax questions in Switzerland as well as my tax questions in the US. And that's going to require a lot more expertise and understanding of both tax systems and how the entire process is. And I understand that there's way more work involved and they have to be very dedicated to their craft. But I can tell you, this is a very specific problem that I am very willing to pay a lot more for, because the general answers that I get from more general tax experts who only have general knowledge around, probably the US or general knowledge in Switzerland, it's not going to help me. It's probably going to cost me even more to not pay a big fee to a tax professional who understands both dynamics, both countries, both systems. So that's just an example, but this is a very current example that is in my mind, and it's one that is a great one, because it just goes to show that people are willing to pay more and they're way more likely to buy if you are actually solving a specific problem that they have and they know that they are the people you typically work with. So getting mega specific, a lot of people have a fear around it because they're afraid it's going to, make less people want to work with them, or they're going to alienate people. And honestly, that's kind of the goal, because the more you alienate or repel people, the more you attract the right people, right? You're a magnet. And if you can become more magnetized, you're going to repel people even further, but attract the right people to you. So number 4, sneaky benefit number 4 of getting mega specific with your niche is kind of a snowball off of number 3, because it is about finding that sweet spot pricing. So I just said that if you're very mega specific, you're offering something specific to fulfill my very specific need and pain point, I'm willing to pay more. So on that basis alone, that should be like, maybe I want to go down that route. But in addition to that, you can also determine a great price that feels like an equal exchange of value for both parties, meaning you as the coach as well as the person that you're working with. And obviously, the more specific you can get with your niche, you're going to understand what their price thermometer is ultimately. So pricing is a pretty relative exercise. Price usually depends on how you're positioning yourself and the type of clientele that you're working with, right? You can provide essentially the same service to one group of people and essentially the same service to another group of people and charge seriously different prices, like $100 on one end and $10,000 on the other. And it's because pricing is a perceived thing from the person who is actually buying it. So it's up to you as the coach to position yourself appropriately for your ideal client, for your specific niche. So by finding that one niche and identifying where they value, what price point and what level they value working with you on their money, it's going to be way more easy for you to find a price point that hits the sweet spot, that provides enough profit for you at the amount of work that you are putting into working with the client, and also provides enough and the utmost amount of value to them. So it feels like a fair exchange of value on both ends. They are committed to the work and they're doing that by investing in it, and then they're getting a lot out of it in terms of changing their entire life. And you are obviously getting paid for the efforts that you put into your coaching work. So there's more that I know. There's a lot of questions and just little mindset issues that come up when it comes to pricing. And I'm going to have a podcast next week that's going to talk about the catch-22 of pricing when it comes to money coaching, because it is specifically peculiar when you are a money coach charging for your services. And stay tuned for next week, because that is one of my favorite topics to discuss within the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, and I'm going to bring it public for you all to hear. The fifth and final sneaky benefit, and this is not actually a comprehensive list. There's tons of benefits to getting mega specific with your niche. But the fifth one that I have for you today is that you will be able to eradicate imposter syndrome and stay in true integrity with your expertise. So what I mean by this is, if you choose to get really mega specific with who you serve, and you go above and beyond and get really mega specific about the problem that you solve for that person, you're not going to, and especially after some time, you're not going to deal with imposter syndrome ever, because you're going to stay in your own lane and you're going to know specifically how you solve that problem, and you're going to have proof and results to back yourself up for it. It's amazing what happens when you start getting that momentum, working with the true specific niche market that you are perfectly suited to work with, and really just focusing on your craft, really just focusing on your area of expertise, which is ultimately what you know is going to help them go from point A, where they're at today, not really happy about their results, to point B, all of their goals fulfilled, or at the very least, they're on way better track to actually reach those goals in the future. So I cannot reiterate enough how beneficial getting super specific with your niche really is. This list of 5 is not comprehensive. It's not conclusive. It is just some of the most important ones and the biggest ones that I've seen, the biggest benefits I've gained from getting specific with my niche. And I hope that you see the value. I know I always talk about niching, but I do think it is just one of the things that too many people don't do enough work around when it comes to starting their business. And I know that the success of almost every business really relies on who they choose to sell their solutions to. And sometimes the solutions rely on who it is that they're working with. So if you are interested in diving more into this work, I invite you to sign up for the waitlist for the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. This is my 12-week program where I'll walk you step by step through building your life-changing coaching program, getting and attracting those amazing, mega-specific ideal clients, and building your booked-out coaching business. So go to wanderwealthy.com/apply to jump on the waitlist, and you will be one of the first to know when enrollment is open. And if you want to get access to today's show notes, go to wanderwealthypodcast.com/podcast/episode 176. And don't feel afraid to reach out to me on Instagram. Head to Instagram, type in my handle, Tess_Wicks. Send me a DM if you have niching questions, you want to chat about your niche, you want me to audit your niche, I would be happy to do that. Send me a DM and we will discuss further there. All right, that is it for today. Until next time, I hope you wander wealthy.